If you've been to the Emporium lately, or ever, you've likely seen this truly gorgeous ship set, the Bear and Bird. Of course, an homage to Rare's former game property, Banjo and Kazooie. In the context of Sea of Thieves though, there is no Banjo and Kazooie. So the question becomes, who are the real Bear and Bird in Sea of Thieves? If it's not Banjo and Kazooie, who is it? What's their story? I believe today's story from the Sea of Thieves will answer that question. Rocking the insignia of the Bird and the Bear on their sail, the two crew members of the brigantine known as Argo were in the midst of an all-too-common Sea of Thieves experience, chasing some running reapers. A pirate, who we'll refer to as the Bird, helmed Argo, while his counterpart, the Bear, not that bear, took over my sloop, the Scaly Cape, and was chasing the reaper a bit further ahead. This was them in their natural habitats. The chase led all the way to Ancient Spire Outpost, where the Bear jumped aboard their ship to lock it down, and the Bird raised sails and laid into the reapers. They were as good as gone. Having dealt with the reapers incredibly swiftly, the Bear and the Bird now got the ship moving north. The Bear was a jovial pirate, a true go-getter, fierce and friendly all at once. They were sailing up to Shipwreck Bay to retrieve some treasure of theirs they had buried for safekeeping. With the reapers out of the way, there was nothing stopping Argo from sailing north to dig this treasure up, until it came across Mercy's End Fortress. Some well-placed cannon shots from the phantoms of the fortress were direct hits to the back mast of Argo. These phantoms would be celebrating tonight because after hundreds of thousands of cannon shots they fired at passing ships in the entire history of Sea of Thieves, the phantoms finally hit something. The Bear couldn't really stand sea travel. It was far too boring for him. He always had to be doing different tasks to keep himself occupied, if only for a moment before moving on to something else. The Bird, on the other hand, kept at the helm the entire time, focused and dreaming. While the Bear was always the one getting to have fun and leave the ship, the Bird never got to leave the ship. This was put on display upon arriving to Shipwreck Bay when the Bird got his eye of reach, went to the aptly named Crow's Nest, and just sat there on lookout, wishing he got to be on the island, while the Bear ran all around, killed skellies, found treasure, and tried really hard to dig through this wooden platform. After a few minutes at Shipwreck Bay, the third member of the crew of Argo showed up. This third member was a ginger, haggard-looking pirate who was none other than the legendary Keeper. Many years ago, he captured the Bear and the Bird and brought them together to work as the ultimate Sea of Thieves crew. Now, he just mostly reaps the rewards, and he held on to his power over the Bear and the Bird with fear, by constantly hunting down, cooking up, and eating chicken right in front of the Bird. Having started an Athena voyage while at Shipwreck Bay, the next stop on their voyage would be Crooked Masts, which was just an easy short ride away from Shipwreck Bay. After dealing with all emergent threats, the Bird got everyone safely over to Crooked Masts, and since the Keeper was cooking up a meal of epic proportions, not wanting to leave the stove this time, he told the Bird to go on and try out what it was like to be on the island. This was completely new territory for the Bird. After 4 years of sailing on Sea of Thieves, the Bird was feeling solid ground below his bird feet. And sure, the Bear was doing his bear thing by leading the charge against the skeletons and pulling off big move after big move. But the Bird got to be a genuine part of the fight. He was feeling it, and it felt really good. Maybe his place in the crew was better off fighting off side by side with the Bear on the island, rather than being a lookout. When the battle with the skeletons was over, the Keeper jumped from the crow's nest, snapped both of his ankles in half in the process, and dragged his limp body over to the harpoon just to get the Athena skulls on board. The Bird got back to helming and took the ship on a very direct route to the Sunken Grove, where they dug up 3 pieces of treasure before heading off to dig up their Athena chest at the notorious Old Faithful Isle. The Bear continued to be an absolute ham. At one point, he kept offering me his cat for some reason. I didn't know what to do with it, so I tried putting it in the cannon, but he did not seem to like that at all. He was having so much fun with all the swashbuckling and piracy he was doing today. And on top of that, he was still actively avoiding his greatest fear, having to steer a pirate ship. Before meeting the Bird, The bear had crashed and sunk 14 sloops. Having the bird by his side to always ensure the ship got where it needed to be and safely was a godsend. This reflection helped him appreciate the bird that much more. Upon arriving to Old Faithful Isle, the worst island in the Sea of Thieves, the bear was going to go off on his own to retrieve the chest, as it wouldn't take too long. This left the keeper and the bird alone to watch over the ship. The keeper decided that this was a good time to enjoy some grog, and that's when he really made a mess of the ship. He got sick all over the harpoon, all over the cannons, the deck, even the cameraman, and the bird was having a hard time focusing on his lookout, knowing how much better life was on the island. So he cannoned off. After grouping up with the bear, the bird had found a piece of loot he thought looked very cool. He hoped it would sell for millions. So the bird brought it along with him, while the bear searched for the buried chest of legends. And just as the bear struck his treasure, the bird met his fate. A kaboom of the keg he was carrying, combined with a keg of a spawned skeleton, had sent him to the Ferry of the Damned, possibly never to be seen again. The bear refused to look at it or acknowledge what had happened to his longtime sailing friend. He knew a lifetime without him could be horrible. He brought the Athena chest aboard the ship, and now, with the keeper unable to function, it was all up to the bear to drive Argo to the nearest outpost to sell. This was terrifying. He turned the ship, held his breath, and went to go put the sails down. And the bird is back. We're good. He was good. The bird made it back from the Ferry of the Damned unscathed. And just like all legendary stories, our heroes today all learned something important. The keeper had learned that although you have success in creating a dynamic duo, future success won't be found at the bottom of a mug. The bear had learned to appreciate the bird for taking on the often intimidating and unappreciated role of getting their crew from place to place safely. And the bird had learned life off of the ship is not all it's cracked up to be, and he'd leave the explosions and skeleton wrangling to the bear. And thus is the untold tale of the real bear and bird in Sea of Thieves.